What is up, Facebook, YouTube? I'm going to be on Periscope soon. I'm back. This is Hot Mike with Sunni. And today I want to talk about the big infamous party switch, right? It did not happen, okay? And give me a second because I have to open this up to the public so that I can see all the comments coming in. I don't want to miss any comments. Maybe you guys will have some questions. Marlon's going to be joining me later, but I'm going to be by myself for a little bit. I put up a post today that talked about, let me go in here and switch it right quick. Pretty much, I talked about who the Democrats were, what they embodied, how they opposed basic human civil rights, which is common knowledge. And a lot of people like to say, well, that was the Democratic Party back then. They're not the same now. Really? Explain how they're not the same. You know how they do that? The big switch. But nobody can really break it down and how the party switched. So what I did is I did my own research. I also watched this a couple months ago when I watched Uncle Tom. It also came up again on this documentary that I just watched, which was Hillary's America. And it came up in Obama's America by this Indian guy. He's actually conservative. Oh, here's our troll. Thanks for joining us, Chance. Everybody wanted to see your talking points and how you were going to debate me and destroy. You know how they did it, Calvin? I'm glad you know, but do other people know? Because, you know, you got a lot of other people that actually fall for this, and they're like, no, the party switched. Prove it. You can't, because it never happened. So what I'll start with, you cannot not talk about this man when you talk about the Democratic Party. There's actually two men you have to talk about as far as civil rights for blacks. Pretty much that, civil rights for blacks. The abolishment of slavery at its finest, back in the times when they did it. Go back to Lincoln. I love Lincoln. So I think you guys know who I'm talking about. Let me see how many people know. You watched a partisan video and now you think you can refute the switch. This wasn't a partisan video. This is actually history. You should look at it sometimes. How many of you guys know who I'm going to start with? Who do you think I'm going to start with? He's on money. People wanted to remove him and replace him with what's her name? I just totally forgot her name. Dinesh D'Souza. He talked about it, but I can't talk. He's actually an old president. You can't talk about slavery, racism, none of that without talking about this guy. A Trail of Tears. Maybe that'll help some people out. A Trail of Tears. I'm going to pull his pictures up too so you guys can see them. If there is such a massive switch, give us 3 names. Facts! Andre Hill, you hit it. You hit it. They can only give you Thurman Storm and Robert Byrd. There were others that switched, but they weren't important. They were just Democrats. And who knows why they actually switched? Do you know? Do I know? Do any of you know why they switched? No? There you go. Jackson. Boom. You can't talk about Jack. You cannot talk about any of this unless you talk about the godfather of it all, which is Jackson, Andrew Jackson. This guy was the most prolific racist you could ever imagine. Okay. Andrew Jackson was so dirty. What he did was he put together a piece of policy, which is what Democrats are doing now. So what he did was put together a piece of policy before he was even the president, which would take the land away from Indians, force them to the west side of the country, okay, force them all the way over there, put them on reservations, do all that, and then resell the land for monetary gain. He also owned over 200 slaves. 200. And he owned them for a very long time. Very long time. There you go. The Indian Removal Act, 1830. Facts. This is a history lesson for some people because a lot of people don't know this information. He's the godfather of it all. He's the godfather of the biggest con Democrats still use today. If you noticed, Democrats are doing their best they can to strip us of our rights, okay, to strip us of being able to defend ourselves because they want to sell America off for monetary gain. All you got to do is look back at history. Those who don't know history are bound to repeat it. And the fact that Democrats clearly know their history, their party, and everything else that they have to talk about, they're just repeating it. But you haven't caught on to it yet. You guys all have. But I'm talking about other Democrats that are still stuck on the plantation. Who is that? Jovan Hill wants to chime in. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. You're going to say Jackson, Nicole? He was an evil man. He is an evil man. So what they did was they took the land from the Indians, put them on reservations, and made sure the state provided for them. Does it sound familiar? Are you catching up to where I am? Who else does the state provide for now? I love her. She's on PragerU. I actually watched it. I might play some of it. Matter of fact, I will. To this day, Democrats limit our voting rights. They also keep going with this false narrative of voter ID is voter suppression because apparently Black people don't have IDs. Okay. But back to Andrew Jackson. He never denounced slavery. He never denounced white supremacy. In fact, he embraced it to keep the votes from the southern states. And that ties into the hold on, let me get this pulled up. I got a bunch of things going on here. Where did it go? Where did it go? Jovan Hill is my main account. I don't know why you're blocked. I didn't block people. And if I did block you, which I don't think I did, because I'm not going to waste my time doing that. Why can't I get this pulled up? I want to show it. Basically, what happens is this guy pretty much started the Southern strategy, which is what people attribute to the big switch, the party switch. The fact that so-called Republicans pander to the racist white people to get the vote of the South, which is so full of shit. You're so full of shit if you believe that. Because how many Democrats have won? Gathering most of the southern states by landslide. So would that also imply that Democrats also pander to racist white people to get the vote, to win the presidency? You can't just apply it to Republicans and not apply it to the presidents of the Democratic Party that won as well. I'm looking for that video. You sent it to me. I sent you a list of Dem plans that show they're trying to control us by making us dependent on them. Okay. I'm going to play this video so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. The Southern strategy. People don't understand this. You need to do research instead of talking out your neck, trying to prove me wrong and bringing up a bunch of false narratives.
It was very simple. Win elections by winning the South. And to win the South, appeal to racists. So the Republicans, the party of Lincoln, were to now be labeled the party of rednecks. But this story of the two parties switching identities is a myth. In fact, it's three myths wrapped into one false narrative. Let's take a brief look at each myth in turn. Myth number one: in order to be competitive in the South, Republicans started to pander to white racists in the 1960s. Fact: Republicans actually became competitive in the South as early as 1928 when Republican Herbert Hoover won over 47% of the South's popular vote against Democrat Al Smith. In 1952, Republican President Dwight Eisenhower won the southern states of Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. And in 1956, he picked up Louisiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia too. And that was after he supported the Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board of Education that desegregated public schools, and after he sent the 101st Airborne to Little Rock Central High School to enforce integration. Myth number two: Southern Democrats, angry with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, switched parties. Fact: of the 21 Democratic senators who opposed the Civil Rights Act, just one became a Republican.
Strom Thurmond.
The other 20 continued to be elected as Democrats or were replaced by other Democrats.
Okay, we'll stop it there. Hello. Only one Democrat switched sides, and that was Strom Thurmond. And later in his political career, he acknowledged everything that he thought was actually wrong. It wasn't right what white people did to Black folks, and the Democratic Party is racist. Robert Byrd, he remained a Democrat for 51 years and kept his ideals, and it wasn't until he was on his deathbed did he say, "Oh, I was wrong." So where was the big switch? Where did the party switch? There is no record of Republicans switching over to Democrats. So where's the switch? This is easily disputed as a myth. You have no facts to back this up, which is it like really somewhat bothers me that people still are going along with this lie. And then you have people that regurgitate it and don't even know what the hell they're talking about. There was no switch. Democrats did not switch over to Republicans. Republicans did not switch over to Democrats. That makes no sense. Republicans are the party of anti-slavery. They are the party of basic human rights under the law. You can't even show me any racist legislation or policies that Republicans have enacted. Now, someone in my comment section brought up the New Deal and how this is a good thing for Black people. I thought that was extremely insulting, but you know what? People are entitled to their thoughts. Now, if you don't know what the New Deal is a piece of legislation that FDR and JFK were working on to help the Black community, right? Not JFK, FDR. So what happened? Sound like Joe Biden, right? So what happened? It left over 200,000 Black people unemployed. It also did worse because under his piece of legislation, Blacks didn't have the education to even assume those positions. So they were the first to be fired and the last to be hired. Matter of fact, I have this Time magazine. I'm going to show you guys. Hold on. What was the name of that of that Democrat that switched for Strom Thurmond, and also Robert Byrd. This piece of Life magazine, I actually go buy these. These are American imported. These are all original, antique, old magazines, like the original copy. But there's a cover story, a centerfold story in this magazine that talks about this Black family who was living in Brooklyn, New York. They were receiving assistance from the state. The husband couldn't find work. When he found work, he was immediately laid off or fired. They lived in poverty, okay? Anytime they went to the state for help, they couldn't get help because the man was in the home. These are Democratic pieces of legislation. And maybe one day I'll open this up so you guys can see the exact story, but it's actually really sad. The man in this story, what's his name? I forget his name. Now I'm going to look. He is so frustrated and angry with life that he basically is extremely abusive to his wife and children. And in the insert in here where the interviewer is talking to him, he asked him, what's wrong? What do you need in life? I just want to be a man and provide for my family. So you got Democrat-run states and cities that don't allow Black folks, Black men, to get up and go get a normal job and work. They want you to accept the state's help. That sounds like racist legislation to me. What is his name? I read this a few weeks ago. This is like, these old magazines, y'all, are the best piece of history you can read. I don't know if you can see it. This is a family. They were at the state office, welfare, trying to get help, but they can't. They're called the Fontanelles. This was a family in Brooklyn, New York. Look up their story. It's extremely sad. But what the point I'm trying to make is the New Deal rendered so many people unemployed, Blacks, that they were forced to go receive state help. Forced. And state help isn't always the best help that you can get. When you're living in state homes, government homes, they're going to give you the bare necessities and give you what you need, and that's it. All those places were crime-ridden, roach infested, just subpar living conditions. And these Democrats offered this to Black people to help them supplement their income, since that guy, FDR, signed the New Deal and said, here you go, Black people, here's some more crumbs. Here's some more government programs. Take this. This will help you out. No, you can't work a job. You can't provide for your family. Matter of fact, I want the father out of the home, and I'm going to replace it with the state. Then you know what that creates? A bunch of knuckleheads and angry children, because I was one of those. Dads are important. You need them in the home. And that's one out of so many things Democrats don't even emphasize on. When's the last time you heard about them talk about the importance of family? When is the last time you heard them talk about reforming welfare, reforming state programs? When's the last time you heard about that? You don't hear about it because they don't give a shit. So all this, the party switched. Man, miss me with that. There was no damn party switch. I'm actually going to play D'Souza's video that he did with Politic King. Let me see where to start. I'll start it there. Lyndon B. Johnson, I'm sorry. Well, he's another one because he signed the Civil Rights Act. But if you really think about it, the Civil Rights Act only put emphasis on all of the amendments, all the rights that Blacks already received from Republicans. That's all it did. You already had those rights. But you know, he had to put a piece of legislation in law to say, guys, you need to follow these amendments. Everything that these Black people have been given, I have to give a law to make stupid, racist white people follow it so that they don't mess with Black people anymore. That is all he did. He didn't give Black people the right to vote. He didn't give women the right to vote. He did not abolish slavery. No Democrat did that. And that is where the switch comes in. Thank you for reminding me. I don't know why I said FDR. That's Lyndon B. Johnson in the New Deal. I mean, the Civil Rights Act. Let me pull up the Indian guy, Dinesh. I like his movie. I like all of his movies: Obama's America, Hillary's America, and Death of a Nation. All good documentaries. You should watch them. LBJ was a stark racist, and you know what's worrisome about that? You have Black people using this civil rights and everything he stood for, everything he did. Well, Martin Luther King sided with him. You know what? Martin Luther King might have been tricked, like a lot of other Black people are being tricked nowadays.
And what I try to show is that these horrors of American history were perpetrated not by America, they were actually perpetrated by the Democratic Party. A really good example is the Ku Klux Klan, which was the terrorist wing of the Democratic Party for 40 years.
You don't think the party has outgrown that?
Well, I think that the party has outgrown it in the sense that obviously no one is going around lynching people in the obvious way today. That obviously doesn't happen. But here's what I mean. Many of the same problems that the Democrats inflicted upon minorities in the past, they inflict on them today. If you walked through inner city Oakland or Detroit or Dallas, these places where you have these urban shootings, in some ways you can say that the Democratic plantation is boiling over. And what I mean is they've created horrible lives for the people who live in there. There's no hope, there are no jobs, there's no opportunity, the family structure is broken down, horrible levels of crime and violence. So you almost get PTSD living in those areas. Now remember, these areas of America are Democratic all the way down. Democratic mayors, Democratic city officials, Democratic school superintendents. So who's going to take the responsibility for these things if not the Democratic Party?
Aren't the Dixiecrats of yesterday the Republicans of today in the South?
No. The Dixiecrats, and in the movie Hillary's America, we actually make a list of these guys. And I went through this list and studied it with some care. There are one or two Dixiecrats, notably Strom Thurmond, who was one of the founders of the Dixiecrat movement. And later he did become a Republican, although he wasn't using the same rhetoric as he did as a Dixiecrat. But here's the point. The vast majority of Dixiecrats never switched. They remained in the Democratic Party. So this whole notion of a switch in which racist Democrats became Republicans, you couldn't even name 5 of them.
Is the South Republican today?
It is, but
and you
this
don't
is a
think that
subject
has
that's been
anything
studied.
to do with race?
No, in fact, I think it's the opposite. When the South was really racist in the early part of the 20th century, it was monolithically Democrat. Now, there are surveys that look at the decline of racism in the South, and it's been really dramatic. And here's the interesting thing. You can almost plot an inverse chart. As the South becomes less and less and less racist, it becomes more and more and more Republican. So it's the non-racists in the South who are voting for the Republican Party, and the hardcore racists have always remained Democrats.
Boom. He's been listening to you. I like this guy. He's actually an immigrant that came to America, and he just picked up on certain things, and he started making movies about it. He wrote books about it. Nobody can name 5, and I don't even think I have any liberals watching, because they wouldn't be able to get on here and name not one. Not one. That's not true. The South became Republican long before 1980s. They actually became, a lot of them were winning the South back in 1928. I think that was Eisenhower, if I'm not mistaken. I love Larry Elder. He's my mentor, and he don't even know it. One day he's going to know. So it's Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, Booker T. Washington. I love his story. Dred Scott was a slave who knew he was free and fought the government. Now, he lost, but the fact is he had the balls to fight the government and say, nah, I'm free. I'm on this side of the map, which means I'm free. George Wallace was a huge racist and Democrat. I never knew the Democrat's name until tonight. I did watch it. I just showed it. So Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, right? But if we flip it, We also see that he fought against legislation, the civil rights legislation. So by signing the bill, all he did was show that he knew how to manipulate blacks by giving them something and saying, okay, here, I'm not racist. I just signed this piece of legislation. Here you go. It's called being a pacifist, which is what a lot of Democrats are. They're pacifists. They don't really give a shit about the black community. They care about your votes. Look at the inner cities, just like Dinesh said. Look at them. Look at Baltimore. And Baltimore has been Democrat ran for a good 50 years, probably longer than that. I'm going to pick up a video and show you. This is how Democrats feel about black people. If they really cared, why has the inner city gotten worse? Why? Anybody have an answer to that? Why are we never prospering? Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you for listening. All you guys, thank you for listening. I know it's football Sunday, but this is important because people keep believing lies, and I'm tired of people posting lies in my comment section. Stop it. But I'm going to pull up a video of this guy driving through the most dangerous parts of Baltimore, which is quite ironically the inner city. It just is what it is. So let me get this pulled up so you guys can see, and I'll talk as I play it so I don't get flagged for copyright. Because you know YouTube likes to do that. Baltimore lost. We had 3 mayors leave in shame. Last one went to jail. And guess what color they all were? Black. But black people care so much. Black liberals, excuse me, care so much about their black communities. And Trump is the devil. We got to get him out of office because he's just terrible. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yet he's the only president to even look at the inner city. Nice try. I don't even have my charger. Hold on, guys.
Our time in this general area here on the west side of town. Anything west of Martin Luther King and north and west of Pennsylvania is generally the worst area of Baltimore I could find. So I'm just going to let this roll. Or tell much of the story outside of what it looks like outside my car. That is until somebody tries to get into the car.
I'm back. Just look at the surrounding area. Look at this. Look at all that, bro. It's all run down. Look at the trash, man. And this is from this year. So I don't want to hear. I hope a lot of liberals see this video. I swear I do, because I want half of them to try to dispute me on everything I said here tonight. Try. Do your best. Stay off of Google too, because that's what a lot of people like to do. I'm gonna get on Google and type in some stuff, and then I'm gonna click the first link that proves you wrong, even though I barely read it. Look at this, man. Who would want to live there? It doesn't even look like it's thriving. What is Trump card? You guys have to tell me what that is. I haven't seen it. What's Trump card? I'm waiting for Marlon. I forgot to send the link. We'll have some more fun when Marlon gets on. Facebook. Hurry up, man. I'm sorry. He said, you ready? Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna pull up California as well, and Seattle. I went to Seattle before I moved overseas. We were stopping there anyway, but we had been to Seattle before, and I liked it. And this time we decided to do some, a little sightseeing. Seattle is beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. But Seattle, the city, it smells. There's homeless people everywhere. There's needles and stuff everywhere. It's just disgusting. It has a really, it's like a rank smell. I honestly can't even describe it. It is terrible, man. It's crazy how you can't pull this stuff up when you need it. I should have recorded all this. There he is. What's up, big bro?
The word you're looking for is ass. Seattle smells like ass.
I was trying to be nice.
I live near it. You can be as mean as you want. The place is horrible.
It's terrible. I was like, I had to roll the windows up. That's how bad it was.
It smells like the cleanup, the stuff you have to clean up after Pike's Market is over.
Well, we're on here talking about the Southern strategy and the infamous big switch, and how nobody can prove the big switch. Nobody can say exactly where they switch, which people left. There's only 2 documented Democrats that actually left the party, and that's Strom Thurmond and Robert Byrd. And Robert Byrd didn't switch until like 51 years later.
The Southern strategy was all Republicans, and they hate black people.
Yep.
You know
so
this.
So they pander to the racist white people. Yeah.
Have you looked up to see what they said about the Southern strategy now?
No. What is being said now? I just went and grabbed a few facts of actually what it is and what they're trying to say Republicans did.
So, Wikipedia. That's the first thing to bring up for the fact checking for Southern strategy. And everything they mentioned is about what the Republicans did and how the Republicans are trying to rezone things in order to make the racist South try and overpower the blacks.
Oh, God. If that's the case, I pose the question to everybody in the audience. If that is the case, why aren't Democrat-ran cities thriving, especially for black people? Because you're the party of the people. You're the party of civil rights. So why are the inner cities shitty?
Because they're Republicans, really, in reality.
I can't with you.
Because of the switch, you see how there's a switch, right? So who were once Democrat are now Republicans, and Republicans were Democrats. So now, technically, the Democrat-run cities are actually Republican-run cities.
That's just too much brain gymnastics for me to grasp.
You're just a hater.
I'm a hater. How come no people that hate white people for slavery, oh man, aren't angry at their African tribal leaders that sold them out? Because Massa told them to be mad at Trump. So that's what they did.
Let me read it for you exactly.
Why am I voting for who? We'll wait for him to respond. I don't know what he's talking about. What did you do earlier? People keep talking about your video. What did you do?
I did a video about darkness.
Are you being serious? Are you joking?
I did.
I can't tell if you're being
Yeah. No, so I had a rough day yesterday. I had a really rough emotional day yesterday. Because I had that accident 3 years ago, that fall. My brain hasn't been quite right since.
Yeah.
And like a lot of memory lapses. But yesterday was like the worst of the worst I've had so far. Like I was on stage doing my thing, and mid song could not remember anything.
Wow.
Like I spaced what song we were doing. I spaced where I was. I spaced what was coming next. Like I had no clue what was going on.
Man.
And so I had to tell the guy to take up the slack. And it was like this. After I got off stage, I was like, I kind of came to, but not like, still not remembering what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so it was just this, I kind of guess a rough awakening telling me that this is not going to be going away like, because I want it to. It's something that I have to try and figure out. And so anyway, this morning was
this is going to help. You're constantly working your brain.
It should. It was just really bad yesterday, like shockingly bad. Like it messed with me bad. So
I feel you.
I made a video about being in a dark place and looking forward to the light and not staying in the dark space. But
gotcha.
Yeah, if that's the one they're talking about.
I have to go back and watch it.
So here's what they said on Wikipedia, okay? The Southern strategy was a Republican Party electoral strategy to increase political support among white voters in the South by appealing to racism against Black African Americans. So Wikipedia is actively rewriting history.
Yeah.
Actively.
I had somebody reference Wikipedia as a source today. And I said, you can't even use Wikipedia in college papers. You cannot use Wikipedia in high school as a source because anybody can go on there and put whatever the hell they want to put on there. It's not a valid source of information.
Yep.
Same situation in New York, Chicago, and Milwaukee. Yeah, Black ran. Actually, New York City hasn't been, but it's been Democrat ran. Lori Lightfoot, she's not doing anything in Chicago that would help any of her citizens. She's too busy worried about coronavirus and dressing up as the Clorox superheroes. I don't know if you guys saw that. I was disturbed. This lady, she's strange, man.
Now they're hiding their sources. Now they're hiding their sources of who updated the page.
What is it? The Rona something. What the hell did she dress up as? The Rona assassin. The Rona killer.
Every last one of the sources they cite on Wikipedia are all left-wing pages.
There you go. You guys just learned something here tonight. Don't look at Wikipedia, especially if you're looking for the truth in regards to the Democrat Party and Republican Party, because they're all left-wing sources, which means that they're biased and you're not getting a full broad view of what you should be getting.
Here's a good one. Here's one of the things that are on there. Coalition building and the politics of electoral capture during the Nixon administration. RNC chief says it was wrong to exploit racial conflict for votes. Washington Post. Let's see here. A bunch of weird Virginia Magazine on biography. Bunch of no-name people, just random folks just adding their 2 bits to it.
Stephen, if you watch Carol Swain, then how are you saying that the Southern strategy was Nixon's law and order agenda? That's already been proven to be false. Oh man, how you zoom it out? I wanted to show people the Rona destroyer. Rona.
Beta.
I've been watching Jesse Lee Peterson, man. I had a rough day yesterday myself. Where is it at? Here it is. Look at this troll. She's a troll. She's so ugly. I can't stand this lady.
Thank you, Donna. I understand that fully. It sucketh much eggs.
Look at this fool. This is who Democrats put in office. Look at this fool.
She is hot.
Look at this fool.
This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot.
Somebody commented on it. Satya Rhodes Conway here in Madison, Wisconsin is just as progressive as Lori Lightfoot worrying about the beer bug. Corona. I like that. I'm gonna start calling it that, the beer bug.
I like beer bug.
Jesse Lee Peterson is the man. A lot of people don't like him because he tells the truth. And he trolls better than Trump. I gotta give it to him.
Thank you, Amanda.
But honestly, guys, I just wanted to come on here and dispute the lie. There was no party switch. The Southern strategy is a myth too.
Hang on. I want to get the exact number for you guys, okay?
Matter of fact, I think I have it. Let me see. I have the Senate votes tally for the Civil Rights Act of 64. I can show that too.
List of party switchers. Let's see here. And this is from let's go to, this is of course Wikipedia, huh? All entire Google, all Wikipedia, all left-wing targets are the first ones that come up with the just insane.
I'm waiting for them to tell me which Republicans switched over to be Democrat. I'm waiting. And I need more than two people. I need more than Byrd and Thurman for you to make me believe that there was a switch.
There's literally a result that says, why did the Democrat and Republican parties switch?
On Wikipedia? I need to pull that up.
No, when you Google it, it's the second answer.
Oh God.
It's basically telling you right off the top, yeah, we know they switched. Then the next is the party realignment, then the great party switch. Just
I think
insane.
I know what you're talking about because someone was trying to debate me with that. Is it live science?
Yeah, live science.
Somebody put that in my comment section and I'm like, bro, get off of Google. I know you went to Google and just looked that shit up. Get off of Google, man. Get off of Google. This is a left-wing source. I'm about to pull it up. This is crazy. This is what they sent me. I'm interested to hear this video. Oh gosh, I need to hear this video. He said, boom. There was no switch.
He said, boom. He literally put there, boom.
If you can't explain to me how there was a switch without Google, because you guys are using this.
I think they mean Nintendo.
Gospel.
I think they mean Nintendo. There was a Nintendo switch.
Yeah. If you can't prove it to me without using Google and if you can't use your own brain, I don't want to hear it. I'm just gonna say that now. I'm gonna start embarrassing people. Get off of Google. Oh gosh. Let's see what this shit is.
Nice music.
Oh, it's just a slideshow. They don't actually tell you nothing. Oh, so look. You just exposed yourself. And I hope the person who sent this in my comment section is watching. You just exposed yourself. Everything that you put in a comment to me, all you did was copy and paste from this website and posted it as your own comment. So that question that I proposed to you the first time, can you have a conversation with me without Google and without any other sources? I just want to know from your brain. I don't want you to regurgitate what somebody else told you. Like, damn, bro.
He's Joe Biden.
Come on.
He is Joe Biden. Hi, I'm Joe Biden, and I'm running to represent Joe Biden.
That just annoyed me. That just annoyed me so bad. Now I'm about to go look at all their comments, and I'm going to check you for plagiarism because those are not your thoughts.
All right, I'm going to send you something here, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. I'm going to send you something, but it's just because I'm trying to copy and paste it to my...
Yeah.
Where is it? I had it pulled up.
I'm a team player.
I'm going to show people how Joe Biden is a pedophile because nobody could ever find this video.
He is not.
Joe Biden's a pedophile.
Joe Biden loves people.
He loves little children rubbing his legs in the pool.
He's a people person. He knows about roaches.
And if you didn't know, roaches was a racial slur against black folks.
I know about roaches, and I know about children jumping on my lap, and I love me some children.
I love children jumping on my lap.
Come on, man.
Wow. I'm glad somebody else noticed that.
What?
Biden was using a lot of Trump's ideas as his own.
Oh, yeah. That's what he does.
He plagiarizes. And that's what a lot of his followers do. You guys just plagiarize shit.
He's a pleasure-rooser.
Check out 13.org. I'll check it out after the show.
Hey, play that. There you go.
Okay. What is this? I'm scared.
That's from our man, the myth, the legend himself. Let's get them some learning from an educated black person.
Uh-oh. Larry Elder.
There you go.
Larry Elder. That's my man. I love Larry Elder. He don't take no shit. Like
from nobody.
Obama said it. I didn't. Be mad at him.
Sal don't play neither. Okay, hold on. Let's not discount Sal. He'll put you in your place real quick, but he do it like subtle. He'll do it nice and smooth. He'll just kind of.
Yeah, like me. The smooth assassin.
He'll paper cut you to death. He'll paper cut. Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see what Larry Elder's talking about. More people need to watch Larry Elder. This is another thing. Before I play this video, you have so many great black pioneers. I'm not going to call them leaders because I don't believe in leaders. You have great black pioneers.
So many niggers.
House Negroes that y'all call them.
Sorry, yes, House Negroes.
You just invalidate them because you don't like
to love them. Love the House
party
Negroes.
they're associated with.
Oh, House Negroes.
What's Larry Elder saying?
Now, as to this business about the Democrats and Republicans switched in the 60s, I addressed this, by the way, in my documentary, Uncle Tom.
Uncle Tom, go look at it.
You can check it out at uncletom.com, the trailers, and check out some uncletom.com.
In fact, I'm going to stream it tonight and force people to watch this shit.
In my film. Look, as you well know, as a percentage of the party, more Republicans voted for the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act than did Democrats. A greater percentage of Republicans in the House, greater percentage of Republicans in the Senate. Look at every single one of these Democrats who voted against the Civil Rights Act. Every single one of them in the Senate, every single one of them in the House, including Al Gore's dad, Al Gore Sr., who was part of what was then the longest filibuster in the history of the Senate to prevent the bill from even coming on the floor. Look at all those Democrats who voted against the 1964 Civil Rights Act in the House and the Senate. Let me ask you one real simple question. How many of them switched parties? If there was a big switch, it certainly would have happened then. It certainly would have happened with respect to all these people that voted against the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in the House and the Senate. How many Democrats switched to the Republican Party? The answer is one. Strom Thurmond in the Senate and one House member.
I already said it.
That's it. Out of all these Democrats who did not believe that government had a role in making sure that public accommodations were not segregated, out of all the Democrats that said that's perfectly okay with me, only 2 left the Democratic Party and went to the Republican Party. In fact, the first Republican elected as Senate in Tennessee since Reconstruction was Howard Baker. Howard Baker was a Republican, and he was pro-integration. So how is it that a pro-integration senator in Tennessee, the first Republican since Reconstruction, gets elected, but the rednecks all joined the Republican Party? The Republican senator in Tennessee supported integration. I mean, grow up. It's a lot.
You like how he does that to people?
But it's
Grow up. It's a lie.
It's a lie.
I did this show for all you guys, all right? My mouth and my brain were burning. I was reading all these comments. I'm going to tag you in it so you can see all these asinine comments. The party switched, and I'm like, how? Then I get 4 sources of bullshit.
They don't listen to people like Larry, okay? Because he's a coon. Yeah, Uncle Tom, sell out. They don't listen to Thomas Sowell. Now, I'm always going to say this. Larry Elder has more education in his pinky toe than nearly 90% of these Negroes out there, okay?
Yes.
This dude is a walking encyclopedia of information. Sowell is a walking statistic machine. That brother has more statistics in his body that he will just spit out a straight stat for you, because I watched his biography, and this man would spend hours and hours and hours just poring over stats that nobody else wanted to do. He would pour through the most menial, stupid stuff to find out when he did something about the wage gap with men and women. And he was the first one. He was one of the first ones to come across the disparity between the women that worked major hours and never got married and made more money than men, versus women, the majority of them, who decided to have children and leave the workforce to have kids and made less money.
Yep.
And that's where they come up with this wage gap thing. And when he got questioned by a female about the wage gap, he just slapped her with straight stats. She couldn't see left or right when he was done with her, dude. She was retarded by the time he was done. He zapped every bit of energy. It is hilarious to watch. But that's the kind of people that the left don't want people on the populace to see. Because if they see how educated these two men, just these two, I'm just going to stick to these two, how educated these men are about not just the history of America, but the statistics of the American society and in money and all that stuff, you will never see racism exist anymore. Because once Black people get a hold of that much education, they will realize that there is no need to worry about white people.
Yep. It is over.
It is insane. I mean, I've been following Larry Elder now for the last 9 years, and Thomas Sowell for the last 8, because I only just got turned on to Thomas Sowell. I consider just 8 years, because I could have been watching him a lot longer. Technically, I could have been watching my whole life, but I didn't know about him. That's to tell you how bad it is. They shut you off from that kind of information.
Yep.
Never heard about Thomas Sowell back in the Caribbean. Never heard a single word about him. Not a single word about Larry Elder. I heard about Ben Carson only because of the surgeries he did, but that was about it. Never heard anything else about him. And the ironic thing is, we never thought anything about black people making it in America with big names. We never thought, wow, that's an anomaly. Not once. That was just the thing. We never thought of it as weird. It was like, cool. You know, another dude makes it. We didn't think another black guy made it. That's just not our mindset about things back home. So when we as a society, and I consider myself an American now, I have West Indian roots, is what I consider myself. When I look at things now, I realize how much my education back home helped me understand the black condition, and how I can look at things now and realize how much I was robbed of from American history in terms of what you guys learn here is not what I learned back home.
Yeah.
I basically learned all the real history of America. I learned what the real slave trade was. I learned all of the routes, all of it. I knew exactly where all the slaves came from. I knew how the patterns happened. And it was not white people that did all this nonsense. Understand that. This was not white people. When you hear people talk about how blacks sold blacks, it is 100% true. The majority of people that got sold into slavery or given, they went to certain villages. And if the chief didn't like you, you were gone. You were gone. If the chief didn't like you, or you pose a threat to the chief, he would have you and your entire family gone. He'd get what he had to get, and you'd be gone. They didn't go raiding villages like they did in America to the Indians. And even with the Indians, they made deals with chiefs. Just understand this. In America, they made deals with American Indian chiefs to get rid of other Indians. The Indians do that to themselves now with the casinos. The cycle hasn't changed. It just switched hands. So don't ever let people tell you that white people started slavery. They did not.
No, they didn't. America didn't start it.
Egypt had slaves. Black people had slaves. Black people had Indian slaves, and they had white slaves. Okay, understand this. I'm sick and tired of black people trying to paint themselves as the most destroyed race on God's green earth. You guys were treated probably the best. Understand this. Even with lynching, even if you would put lynching into it, you were treated better than the Irish were treated. When the Irish went into captivity, they were pulled apart, for God's sakes.
Yep.
You got yanked in half, okay? Not to mention what the Romans did.
Oh yeah, there's a district.
You have no clue what real slavery is in America. Nothing. You didn't experience slavery. In the Caribbean, okay? You might watch Alex Haley's Roots and stuff like that. In the Caribbean, not only did you might have had slaves raped over here and, you know, beaten and shot. They would dismember you if you tried to run away, piece by piece. First they'd take your foot, then they'd take your hands, and they wouldn't just throw the parts away. They would leave you with the body part. As a reminder, they'd leave you with that bloody body part. And when you fully died, they would not bury you. You'd have to, your body would stay up on above ground in the village that they put you in that little housing section, and you would stay there just until it started to rot, and then you were allowed to bury it. That was not allowed here in America. Understand that. You have not seen real slavery in America. I just want you to understand this clearly. You guys have seen some version of racism, and you still haven't seen anything because you haven't seen apartheid. When you go to Africa, to South Africa during the apartheid, then come and talk to me about what racism looks like. When you can walk down the street and the militia comes out, the army comes out and guns you down, and your bodies stay in the streets, then talk to me about racism. America has never been that. Ever. You guys are stupid to think that, but that's not how it went, and it's not how it goes. That is not America. Because there were too many good people on one side for that to get to that level. There were constantly people fighting it. For goodness sake, Mandela went to jail for almost half his life for this nonsense. And he came out and was still fighting it. I don't know how else to get this through to Negroes' heads. I don't know. And even some stupid white people. The slavery you encountered in America is not what actual slavery was like throughout the modern world. And Suni, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You ain't seen slavery like the ones they used to have in India, to have in Africa. You ain't seen slavery.
You can even go back to the Vikings.
The Vikings. Dude, the Indians had slaves, okay? And they made slaves of other slaves. They were sacrificial slaves. Black America does not have the market cornered on slavery.
They don't.
At all. Or the atrocity of it. You don't. I would probably put you near the middle to the back end of the soft side of slavery. If there is such a thing, you'd be on the back soft side, comparatively. And now you live in the most wealthy place on God's green earth with the most rights of any African descendant anywhere on the earth. And you still complain.
Still complaining. It just goes to show you how ungrateful and unappreciative folks actually are. And it's really because America has coddled and spoiled African Americans for too long. And now you created a monster. The government created a monster. And the government, I'm talking about the Democrats, want to run away from that responsibility and pin it on everybody else. So that's an issue that will never be solved. Let me not say that, because it can be solved. But people just need to wake up to the truth. It's hard, I get it, but it's grow up, like Larry Elder said. Stop bringing these false narratives. This bullshit narrative, stuff that you know is not true, is stuff that you can't even prove. You can't prove it. I gave the Democrats more credit than I should have. I said 2 of them left. It went to the Republican Party.
Well, 2, 1 Senate, 1 Congress.
Yeah. And even
2.
him, he didn't denounce the KKK or racism or anything else until he was on his deathbed dying. That is not real genuine. I'm sorry. Damn, I was wrong. It was shit. I'm about to die. Let me try to get right before God before I go. That's what he did.
My foot's getting close to that bucket. I better pull back.
I'm sorry. You're right. People, just do your research. I know a lot of people are watching, so a lot of people watch because these videos easily get 2,000 to 3,000 views, but they won't comment. So keep watching. And hopefully whoever's watching.
Here's a good place to look. Okay? Let me give you some advice. If you have a local library, go in and look up on microfilm or microfiche, like they used to call it. That would be the best bet, not just books, but I'm talking about anything before 1970, a book written before 1970. Mm-hmm. Look up those history books, not republished in 2020 or anything past 1990. It has to be last published 1970 or before. And microfilm will show you everything you need to know. And I literally mean everything, because on microfilm, they will keep all of the actual Senate records. They'll keep all of the Congress records. They'll keep every bit of record. You can go by name and see what happened. You can go and look up by law and see what happened. If you depend on the new age mode of looking up stuff, you will be led astray. Completely led astray. Once it's on microfilm, that sucker is there to stay. Okay, that's like a bad tat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could regret coming in this late, Tom. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of you.
What's up, Tom? You can go back and watch it. Do the replay. Hit the replay.
You just lucky that you're a good-looking man, or I would have held you accountable. But honestly, guys, look at the library. Go to the library. Go back to the old school way of doing it. Mm-hmm. Go to the library. Grab yourself a history book. like I say, 1970 or before, and get yourself real information about this stuff, because it's out there. But it's not at the press of a button. It is not.
No.
Oh, this one. I've seen this one. I love
Yeah,
this one.
This is actually the
This is
video
proof.
that YouTube buried. I had to look for this for about 3 days, and I finally came across it. This is for all the people that want to vote for Joe Biden. And I have a few words for you. I think you're a piece of shit if you're going to back a pedophile and then ignore it. That's what happens in the, I'm just going to speak from personal experience. It happens a lot in the Black community. These type of subjects are taboo. You have people that know they have pedophiles in their family, know they have touched children and done a lot of inappropriate shit, and they turn a blind eye to it. You guys are pieces of shit. And I don't care if that's rude or not.
It's rudimentary.
All right, come on, slide in.
Thank you. Maggie, do you want to come over here?
Come on.
Hey, pause it real quick. Pause it. Watch how he manhandles this little girl. Okay? And a couple others as well. Watch how he does this. Just watch.
There we go.
Do you guys mind moving this quickly? There we go. Right there. Thank you.
You gotta look up and send a photographer up top.
Thank you. Thank you.
See that hand?
All right, well, nice to see you guys.
Fucking gross,
See you
man.
back home, I hope.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay?
It's just sick.
Fucking gross, man.
Hi. Hey, Corey, good to see you.
Look at he pulling her in, bro.
You see what I mean?
Hey, handsome.
He will yank them.
How you doing? He's laughing. Oh, God, you're so lucky. Congratulations. Would you want your daughter to hold the Bible? You jump in the middle, Angel. You come right on this side of mommy. No, you come over here. That's it. Keep going. You're standing right next to me. There you go. And then
See that? You
we're
see
gonna
that?
have
There you go.
Daddy put his left hand in the Bible if you can reach it and repeat, not repeat it. We're just going to, hey, man, here we go. You ready? Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same?
Look
That
at
you
her,
take this
bro.
obligation freely without any
Hold on.
reservation or purpose of
This
evasion.
little girl is so uncomfortable, in case anybody hasn't noticed. She does not like Joe Biden touching her.
I want to know what the other hand is doing.
Thank you. That's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to see if I can see it.
That you will well and faithfully discharge the duties
On her back.
upon which you're about to enter. So help you God. God love you. You're a lucky man.
Oh, it is on her back.
Pulling on her hip now. Look at that. It's on her waist. He's dragging her to him.
What a beautiful thing. That's how all my children are. Yeah, very good. Come on, slide across. Get everybody in. Switch here. You should come here.
There we go.
You got it? Okay.
And if you want the back,
On her hip again.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hold the Bible.
He does not know this little girl.
Jay, ready to be here, everybody? And everybody can look up.
We're gonna look up the photographer up top. Oh, there it is.
His hands moved up.
Very good. Everybody else is looking forward to
It's in the hair.
Yo,
Of course I.
her dad's a fucking simp, because I would have decked the fuck out of this old man right there in my swearing in. I would have punched the shit out of him. I'm not even kidding right now. I would have knocked the hell out of Joe Biden. Oh my God.
Caroline.
Hi, Caroline. How are you? How old are you?
18.
18.
How old?
Now, you all sisters?
I was there. With her sister-in-law.
Sister, what's your name? Hey, David, how are you?
See how fast he left the dude? He just said, I don't know, that move on to the next video. This dude,
I love the picture.
he literally just brushed the dude's hand and went to the next female.
Good to see you. Well, you get right in the middle here.
Man, I would have knocked the fuck out of this dude. I'm getting mad watching this. Like, I want to go.
He's bringing all the females around him, including the little girl. This is the one where she pulls away.
All right, here we go.
He puts his hand on her breast, and she pulls away. He crawls it down. Here he goes. Keep an eye on that hand. Look at it. Look. And see, she pulls away, and he goes back again. Man. The brother stepped in. You see that?
Yep.
Okay, man, what a great family. Come on.
Brother's more of a man than the father. Look at his hand.
All right.
There's a couple people in the back.
Yeah, you can't see.
What? You got it?
Let's see if we can fast forward a bit.
Everybody look up top there. Up there.
Oh, here's another little girl.
This is when he pulls her hair back, I think, and whispers in her ear. There it is. There it is.
Okay, right here. Here's the official. Now, guys, look up and send a photographer up top. Oh, there you go. Can I move just alone?
Did he just say that?
Yep.
Dad's gonna stand pretty close.
That brother would have got John Cena. I would have done John Cena to him. John Cena.
One of the guys actually snatched his daughter away from Joe Biden. I can't remember who it was.
And look at them weird. Like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Hi, how are you?
Calvin.
Dumbfounded idiots. I'm gonna leave this comment up here.
I'll tell you what. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that nonsense. You see that?
Wow.
Play with the hair again. Bro. This guy.
What the fuck is he doing, man?
He's rubbing. Any touch he could get, he's copping a feel. One of them, he turns around and says, no dating until you're 30, and some nonsense like that.
That's I remember opening the door and Al Gore Sr. introduced me. 1972. God love you. Good to see you. No, that's not generous. What's your name?
Oh yeah.
Hi, Marie. I tell you.
I think you guys can.
Okay.
I tell you.
Everybody look right here.
Ching chang chong.
Can all of you look up for a photo?
Okay, up there. Second level.
And let's add in girls. Let's come back in with one big group shot. Come on in.
Do you know what my dad used to say? Your granddaughters have one important job. Take care of the pop.
What?
Okay, and the gentleman with the baby, could you guys come over to the front? Okay, yeah, can I get a couple of you? Do you of you here mind going in the back and behind?
Back over here.
Huh.
Jeff Sessions. He smacked Biden's hand away. That's who it was.
Stephanie, I would need
That's it, yeah.
just the formal.
Everybody look right here. Okay, right here. And could you just make this just a little, there you go, great. And can everybody look up again?
All right, look up. Okay.
Okay, is it possible? Can we just have our family? No, but with them in the back like that?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
This Asian lady actually wants too much.
You girls stand right in the front between your grandma and me. She's in touch.
Touching again. Touching again.
What the hell is he doing, bro?
Don't tell me. Here we go. Here we go.
Ugh.
We gotta look up top, guys, so he doesn't jump, okay? Here we go.
Okay.
You're supposed to look up.
Well, take care of Grandpa, girls. It's a hard job, I know, but take care of it. That's what I tell my granddaughters and my grandson.
Thank you.
Okay?
That way.
Yeah, how are you? Well, come on, let's slide in here. You ready? Come on, Mom. The kids can stay right in the front if you want. Okay, here we go. Your microphone's in the way, Jack. Move it. Is it in your way? Okay. And up top. Oh. Well, congratulations.
That's enough cringeworthy shit Joe Biden does. We get a dose of that every single day. This just goes back to my point. If you are defending this guy and you're going to vote for him, you're a piece of shit. And I mean exactly what I just said. You're a piece of shit, period. I love Jeff Sessions. He was our representative for Alabama for a long time.
Hater.
I'm a hater? Nah. I don't
Alabama.
have any tolerance for that. I don't have any tolerance for that. I don't
Who
care
said-
if you're
who said you're a
family
hater?
member or not, bro.
Who said you're a hater?
Somebody in the messages. This Chance guy, he messages me all the time. I think it's hilarious. I just read all his stuff. So why are you lying to these people? Let me come on your show. So what I sent him a link. And I said, all right. He ain't
No
going
shit.
on here. Ah. Guys, do your research, please. There was no big party switch. Okay. The Southern strategy is bullshit. Pretty much everything Democrats say is a con. I told you where it started from. If you look at Andrew Jackson and you look at what he did with the Trail of Tears, which was pretty much take Indian land, but he wrote legislation or he contributed to legislation to even do that, took their land and sold it off to other people, then put those Native Americans on reservation camps and said the state will provide for you. It's like what they're doing with black people. Yeah, let's offer you some housing. You go stay in government housing. You go stay in the crappiest areas in America and figure it out. Yeah.
Yep. Go back to old school, guys. Go old school on this research.
Seriously.
Go back to some old school research. You go back to old paper clippings. You go back to the books. Hit the books if you don't like to read,
Uh-oh.
practice, because it really is the only way you're gonna get this info is if you go out and find it yourself. Okay? No one's gonna hand it to you. They're gonna hand you lies. They're gonna try and cover up all the information. I'm gonna tell you this now. Since the email dump and the flight logs have been released, right? Go back and look up Bill Clinton on Wikipedia. It removed any reference to him being on Epstein Island. If you want proof never to use Wikipedia again, go look up that. Just that, go look it up. Second, go look up what happened on Haiti with the Clintons. Just look those two up. Okay? I guarantee when you get done, you'll be like, what in the hell? What in the hell?
What the hell?
Okay. You'll see no reference of that picture. Okay. Of him in that blue dress. No reference of the picture with George Bush and the plane and the towers. You won't see any of that. Okay? Because they're scrubbing the internet of things that make them look like the villains that they are.
Bingo. Those who don't know history are bound to repeat it. Our proper history is still out there. It's honestly not hard to find. Like Marlon said, check out your local library and read books from, you can start from 1920 and then go through to 1970. Because I have read Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. That book blew my mind. When he talks about the big red conspiracy theorists and how Russia is pretty much infiltrating America under the guise of using African Americans and making them feel useful because they're woeful idiots. Let's just make them feel good.
China's doing the same thing.
Yeah. They're all working with China. It's all for world domination.
When you guys see it, you'll be like, wow. That's exactly what you'll be like. Damn, that's crazy. You'll never watch another thing by the DNC again.
If you've never seen
Never watch the DNC
Clayton
again.
Cash, check it out. Clayton Cash actually scared the living shit out of me once I finished watching it. I was like, this is, I'm telling you, man, it's like an episode of Scandal that never ends. It never ends.
I'm gonna watch again. I have to watch it again. I'm gonna watch Hillary's America again tonight.
Yeah.
Because I need to. But if you haven't watched it yet, it's for free on Amazon Prime. I think someone said Daily Motion had it for free.
Yeah.
But watch it, okay? If you haven't watched another movie before, watch this one. Watch Hillary's America, and you'll see exactly that. Are you saying you're gonna stream Uncle Tom?
I am. So once we get off of here, I'm gonna stream Uncle Tom for everyone since I bought a copy and I can use the Fair Use Act for educational purposes. So
Good.
Share that live. I'm gonna stream it live straight from here. I'll use this. Share that live. Watch it yourselves because it's actually a really informative and educational documentary. And it's not boring. It's really engaging. I was like, oh crap.
It is really good. Especially when I'll tell you that I'm not spoiling it because they deliver it really well.
Yeah.
There is one guy who talks about his red pill moment at the beginning, the plumber guy.
Yeah.
And he said that when he finally decided to do the compare and contrast what his values actually were and which party held them, he was not a Democrat.
Yep.
He had voted Democrat all his life. That's what he was doing. That's who he thought he was. And then a friend of his told him, dude, just compare and contrast what you believe versus what they're offering. And I guarantee you're not a Democrat. He did it. Sure enough, he wasn't a Democrat. So when you watch this movie, it's gonna blow your mind when you combine it with Hillary's America and death of a nation.
Yep.
Those 3 movies, you're gonna come out so red, you're gonna look Chinese. I tell you what, you go.
But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Big Bro, for coming on. We'll be back tomorrow morning for our morning show.
Hey, who's got it tomorrow?
Did I do it for the week already? Corey starts on Monday. So we'll be on Just Face It. And don't worry, we're getting our YouTube and all that stuff together so everybody's not bouncing around. Because some people were like,
give us a month. Give us a month.
Where's the show? I like to end every show the same way. Do your own research. You don't have to believe anything we said here. Do your own research. You can use Google, but be able to siphon through what's left and what's right and find middle ground. If you can't do that, you're not properly educating yourself. So please research and have your own mind and vote Trump. That's how I feel. If you ain't voted for Trump, stay your ass home.
You ain't black. Then you ain't black.